We need to do all that?
Yeah, you have to do all that. Okay, so when you start, right, you're going to be at a table. This the X-ray going to be in front of you. The examiner going to be right here, and you're going to be right here sitting, right? Just give them tape. Come on. Okay, right there. Okay, make sure you have your tape ready for X-ray because you just have to measure for cardiomegaly, right? So from the beginning, you have to say, okay, so this is the X-ray of the patient name, right? So Matthias Fernandez. Normally it could have the age on it too, right? A male, right? From whatever information in this box here, you say it out for the examiner, right? Name and age and gender are important, right? Next, position, right? It's of this mnemonic, you can remember PIRE or RIPE, R-I-P-E or P-I-R-E, right? P-I-R-E have the order, but it's kind of harder to remember than RIPE. So, right, so I'll go with PIRE, right, because that's the correct order, right? So position, you have to determine if it's anterior, posterior, or posterior, anterior, right? The way you do that is also look at the scapular markings, right? Now, if it's anterior, posterior, the heart would be very big. It would appear to have cardiomegaly. So if it's in cardiomegaly, check. You should be thinking if it's an AP one time, right? And you have to check for the scapular edges. So in mine, you can't even see my scapular edges really, right? You're just seeing that kind of whitish lines going down here, right? But you can't really see my scapular edges. In an AP, you see a clear line coming down here, right? So that's how you tell the difference between AP and posterior. Check for the scapular lines. Also, when you're doing the station for the OSCE, make sure and take your fingers and point out everything that you're checking, right? And see it as you're going along. So you're not seeing any scapular lines, so this is a posterior anterior, right? A PE, right? Of whatever, right? So that's position. Then you have to do inspiratory effort, right? Anybody knows that?
No.
Okay, for inspiratory effort, you basically just have to count from the diaphragm, count ribs above the diaphragm, right? For anterior ribs, it will be these ribs that curving down like this, right? You seen it? And for posterior ribs, it will be like this. These ribs here that coming straight out of the vertebral column, right? A good inspiratory effort, you have to say that the patient has a good inspiratory effort or adequate inspiratory effort, right? A good inspiratory effort is if you could get 6 ribs above the diaphragm, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right? So this is a good or adequate inspiratory effort. I think you can check these two, but I could double check that because I'm not sure, right? And that's for anterior ribs. For posterior ribs, like 7 would be a good inspiratory effort, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. You can see the first rib too. So it's definitely a good inspiratory effort, right? So we're going with PIRE still. Position, we check inspiratory effort. Now you have to check rotation, right? For rotation, you have to look at the clavicle heads, the medial heads, right? You can't really see this one too well, but you can see this one, this line coming down here, right? And they'll bring a good one for the exam. But you see this line, this border coming down here at the end of the clavicle, right? Yeah. You can see it here too, it's just not as clear as this side, right? You have to look at the vertebra and the space between that head and the vertebra on each side, right? If it's even, then that means it have no rotation, right? If it's bigger, right, on one side, that means you're rotated towards the opposite side. Because if you think about it, if you move like this, the space here will get bigger as the bones retract away, right? So position, anterior, posterior, inspiratory effort, normal. When you're talking to the examiner, you're actually checking inspiratory effort, normal. You can measure to your tape, or you could just you can just estimate it, right? So no rotation, right? Now E is for exposure, right? That's basically it. Until I know what's exposure on your pictures, how you could adjust exposure to adjust the light, right? It's basically the same thing for X-rays. For the exam, it will be normal exposure, right? So you just say that is adequate or good exposure, right? But to check exposure, if it has too much exposure, you'll see the vertebral column coming all the way down. So you see these little spines here? These are the spines in the vertebrae, right? These little spines here, this kind of diamond shaped thing, you'll be seeing that all the way down here, right? And if it have too little exposure, you wouldn't be seeing the column at all. You understand? Everybody following so far, right? So there's position, right? Anterior, posterior, inspiratory effort, good. Rotation, no rotation, and exposure, good, right? Because, well, you're not seeing the vertebra too much or too little, right? So that's just the beginning of this station, right? That's just the technical parts of an X-ray. The introduction with the name and everything, and age and gender, the PIA or the right, however you want to remember it, right? And now you have to actually examine. That's just technical aspects of taking an X-ray. Now you have to actually examine the X-ray itself, right? So what people usually do is they start from the middle and branch out, right? You have to comment on everything that you see. So you could start with the heart, right? You have to say that the cardiac silhouette is preserved. There's a mark there. The cardiac silhouette is preserved because you're seeing this border coming down here and you're seeing this border coming down here, right? Then you have to look for the cardiophrenic and costophrenic angles, right? Anybody know what costo means? Right, and phrenic.
Diaphragm.
Right. So the angle between the diaphragm and the ribs, there's this little angle here. This will be the left costophrenic angle, and this will be the right costophrenic angle. And in this is actually very preserved. So when you're describing the angles, you say the preserved, or you can say present too, but preserved is the more technical term, right? So costophrenic angles preserved, you point it, right? Cardiophrenic angles is the angle between the diaphragm here and the cardiac silhouette, right? So this also pretty well preserved. If it wasn't preserved, you'll just be seeing white blanching right across, right? So you point it and say that cardiophrenic angle is preserved, costophrenic angle is preserved, right? So you talk about the silhouette, the angles. The last thing you do for the heart is you measure it, right? So somebody could just hold it. So what you do is you measure the widest part of the heart, right? So that's probably about this here, right? So about 12 centimeters, right? And you measure the widest part of the mediastinum, right? So you try to get like a nice wide edge here. Okay, so about 26, right? So if the heart is less than half the widest diameter you could get here, then that's not cardiomegaly. If the heart is more than half, then that is cardiomegaly. So you measure it, right? You don't have to say the values when you're measuring it, right? Just note it in your head, right? 12, 26, and you just say there's no cardiomegaly, right? But you have to check that. Next thing you have to do is, okay, so
when
that's...
you're measuring across, you're measuring from what, yeah?
The widest part.
Or just from like the outside? Like
the widest diameter from here all the way to here.
Okay.
That's how I get 26. Look. See?
Yeah.
So that's the widest part that I could probably see from here, right? But it wouldn't be too technical with that, right? But you just look at it and estimate the widest part and measure it, right? And make sure you measure the widest part of the heart too, right?
Oh, with the mediastinum from here to here.
Yeah.
Okay, so not like the outside of this thing that we just said.
No, not the outside.
Okay.
Right? Right. So that's the cardiomegaly. So you did the silhouette, you did the angles, and you did the cardiomegaly, right? So you finish with heart now. Now you can move on to the trachea, right? So you have to look for tracheal deviation. If it had tracheal deviation, you would see something, you would literally see something deviating on the side here. You're literally, like how you're seeing the spinal column coming down here, you would see something else with this tubular appearance deviating on the outside, right? So you just look at it and say no tracheal deviation, right? Next, you have to measure the thoracic inlet, right? So how you do that is you measure the distance between the clavicular heads, right? So it's about 4.2 centimeters, right? And then you measure the widest diameter up here on top, right? 4.2 by 3 is what?
12.9.
Okay, so it's supposed to be a third the thoracic inlet, right? This distance here, and that's called the thoracic inlet. It's supposed to be a third of this distance, right? Or less than a third. So it is less than a third, right? Next, so we finish with this. We finish with trachea. Next, you can talk about you're literally talking about what you're seeing, right? So you're seeing the lung fields here. You can talk about the lung fields. The lung fields appear to be clear, long zones appear to be clear, anyone could work, and hilar markings normal, right? These are the hilar markings here, these kind of whitish markings here, right? No lymphoadenopathy, that's another important one, because this is where you would expect the lymph nodes, to see lymph nodes, right, along the hilar. So, you check the thoracic inlet, after you check the heart, check tracheal deviation, then you're kind of moving out. You finish with the center, you're moving out now. Long zones clear, hilar markings clear, no lymphoadenopathy, right? Next thing you could talk about is any bony abnormalities. So you're looking for fractures, right? You look at the board, you're looking for any breakages going along here. Real simple. Obviously, all you're going to get a normal x-ray. So you'll just you literally put your fingers across, right? And comment that it have no fractures. Next, you comment on any soft tissue changes, right? So you look for your gastric bubble, if you could see one, right? This is, you can kind of see it here. I don't know if all you can appreciate that, right? You can kind of see the gastric bubble there, right? So that's another piece of evidence that was standing up for this X-ray. If I was lying down, the gastric bubble would be occluded because the fluid and stuff would be all over there, right? It wouldn't be able to rise to the top of the stomach. But you don't need to comment on that. You could just, if you've seen a gastric bubble, say that you've seen a gastric bubble, right? Say that you're not seeing any fractures.
And if there's one and you don't comment on it.
Nah, you should comment on it if you see it. You have to comment on it if you see it. Right? If you don't see it,
But
you don't have to
I
meet
would
up.
never realize that.
Yeah, well, for this one, they wouldn't expect all you to see one like this. The ones that they would see it would be real clear. You would literally see a dark circle here. For the